Hey, what's going on, guys? Dino Gomez here with Tiffany Ballard. And today we are sitting down with Miss Savannah Peterson. In case you guys haven't heard of who Savannah Peterson is, let me give you a little introduction. Savannah is Miss Forbes 30 Under 30 in consumer technology. She is a woman in hardware, a speaker, a dog mom, and a loyal friend. So we're sitting down with Savannah today. She is a good friend, and we're catching up with her, and we're kind of just chatting with her, seeing what she has going on, what's inspiring her, and what her kind of idea of success is. So we'll start at the very beginning. Savannah, tell us, what are you up to? What's going on right now? Where are you? Are you even in the States right now?
First of all, thank you both for having me on the show, and thank you, for that killer introduction. It's somewhat ironic and convenient that it ends with loyal friend, because you met me when I was somewhat of a drunken, debaucherous collegiate student. I may have even still been a teenager when we met, which is pretty awesome that we find ourselves here about a decade later, both very accomplished and with your new beautiful accomplice, discussing this tonight. So I'm currently talking to you all from the wonderful city of San Francisco, where I have a permanent address. I'm here about 25% of the time these days. Just got back from a lovely excursion in New Zealand, where I do a lot of speaking and engaging and general romping, because it's a wonderful land, as you may imagine. And I'm excited about a lot of things right now. There's a lot of really cool new spaces popping up and a lot of young people driving those spaces. So I think, the juxtaposition of the both has me most tickled right now.
Awesome. And Savannah, what would you say your idea or perception of success is?
Oh, wow. It's challenging because I think success comes in many different forms. If I was to shamelessly select something that I'm sort of known for talking about, to me, I have a term that I both haphazardly coined, but also somewhat miraculously coined during a speaking tour I did in New Zealand, and the term is benchstone. So it's the combination of a milestone and a benchmark, and I think that KPIs are kind of bullshit. They come out of forecasts, and they come out of things that aren't grounded in reality, but in a projected magical reality that may or may not exist. And I think the thing that is cool about benchstones is they are, by at least my very technical definition, moments that indicate progress and also feel good. And I think that to me is success. I think, we all have these crowning moments or things we work towards that may or may not happen. And yeah, those champion moments are awesome, but they may happen every 5 or 10 or 15 years. And I think success is going home feeling like you or you and your team did a really great job and did the best you could do, and got to celebrate that, whether or not that was 10,000 users or 5,276, but they sent in a really nice email. Doesn't really matter.
I love that perception.
I love the exact numbers there.
Right.
I saw you look up to the right. You're all pulling like an actual moment of your memory right there. That was good.
Not that I've ever had any trouble with KPIs. No. But you know how it is. I feel like sometimes you can be very close to a goal, but have really achieved what you needed to achieve, yet the figure isn't what was expected. And they're like, well, we're 20% below what we thought. It's like, what the fuck was that thought? That was like a thought we thought 6 months ago before we even knew what we were doing. It's awesome. I don't believe in the perma predefinition of things, and life should feel better than I think we make it out to. And in America especially, we're super hardcore about our lack of work-life balance until we obtain these numerical goals. And I think traveling, I see a much greater international, just healthy life balance. I think you guys are good about that. We all set our own schedules, so
I love your wisdom.
It's funny you said that, because when we were out there in Australia, that's what we were noticing as well.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. It's a priority to have a balanced life pretty much everywhere else in the world, save for some pretty scary places that I won't name out loud. And it's interesting that we think it's okay to work the way we do and expect what we expect in the United States, and yet we're somehow going to keep living longer and not keep getting stressed out and have all this, crazy over depression prescribed society. It just doesn't make any sense. We take more antidepressants and live less long than many of our less working counterparts. It's silly. So I hope we figure it out. It's nice that you saw it in Australia. I mean, honestly, Australia, New Zealand, climates that are lovely with great environments year-round often work less. But then again, so does pretty much everywhere else in the entire world. Iceland, Norway, places that are dark, cold, and frosty most of the time are also better balanced than we are. So I don't know. I feel like given that we're all entrepreneurial, maybe we should select some new islands or spaces to investigate.
Start our own community, our own country.
Yeah, even the Uber drivers out there in Australia and stuff, and it's I know you can make a good living with Uber as much as you want to drive and as much as you want to work and stuff, but these guys were so casual about it. They're, you ask them how many hours they work, and they're like, 30 hours on average, and then I take 3 months off per year. And like they had been to places in the U.S. I still haven't seen, having lived in the U.S. my whole life. Kind of said a lot. I was like, wow, I don't even know how they budget to have the funds to do all that, but they obviously are doing a good job of like deciding what's important to them and then spending their money there, which seems to be travel.
Yeah, they have a saying down in New Zealand that it's about the beach, the batch, and the BMW, and it's basically your car, your beach house, and being near the beach, having your vacation home in your car. Sorry, I can't count, but it's equivocally that once you have that, it's your life is achieved. And it's funny to me because people always tell me this. And I listen to this, and I mean, there's a few things about them that they need to amp up, right? They're notoriously very humble. But on the flip side, I'm kind of like, that doesn't sound so bad. I'm living in San Francisco. I literally would have to be a multi-millionaire in order to afford a home, let alone anywhere near the beach. And I drive a 12-year-old used SUV, which I happen to love, but it's certainly no expensive sports car. So I think it's all relative, and it's important to travel, so we see that.
Absolutely, cultures you. Dino and I are like all about less is more. I'm actually doing a course right now, writing one on that. Which brings me to my next question: is what's your idea of true happiness? Like, I mean, I know everybody's perception is different, but that's just. What's your perception of happiness?
Super casual dialogue we're having tonight.
Oh.
I told you, be ready for it. I asked you if you wanted questions first.
No, which is great. I'm always happy to take them in stride. You also encouraged me to take the edge of the day off before we got on this chat. So I'm curious to see how honest my response to this dialogue becomes. I think happiness is finding, at risk of sounding super epic, but given the question is pretty epic, I think happiness is finding comfort in the discomfort, in feeling really good about whatever it is that I'm doing, and even if it's silly, whether it be in my personal or professional life, being okay with that and just feeling good. I kind of joke that I live 2 lives between America and New Zealand right now. And even additionally, in all the different cities that I'm lucky enough to travel to, and I know you guys get to travel a bit too. And it's both awesome and it's crazy because they're all very different, and you're the only thing that's congruent between all the things. And so there's no one to share that with. And I think for me, I feel super lucky that I've sort of designed the life I had always fantasized about having, and I'm super stoked to be living it. But on the contrary, I think the thing that is very obvious is how alone I am in that. And I have all these super rad friends everywhere, but I think happiness is having a nest close enough to you that you can always share really beautiful experiences directly as well as indirectly. And if that's all around the world, that's cool too.
Awesome.
We just need to travel more, and I think I would be happier if we did it together.
I agree.
That's the moral of this story.
That was good. That was
Awesome.
you broke it down there. That was.
It's also just like, and this will just be silly and femme, but it's that good feeling in your stomach. Like you can feel happiness in your skin. Ooh, actually, do you guys want a freaking Blab with you two exclusive? I haven't shared this anywhere publicly, but it's something I just wrote. It's only 3 sentences, and I think it actually sums up what happiness is.
Ooh.
Take it away.
Let me get my hashtags ready. All right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was not prepared to share this, but I'm actually stoked we're talking about this because I think it's relevant. And so I had a really powerful trip the last time I was in New Zealand. They're all pretty powerful, quite frankly. It's a pretty special place. But I managed to, before dozing off, after drinking too much in the lounge and on the airplane, write a few sentences. And quick 30-second background, one of the things I've been working on, and if you're interested in participating in this at all or have something that relates to this, please do let me know. But a series of stories and a narrative on the advantage of tragedy and how it's all the awful things we go through that make us super amazing at being cool adults. And I think there's a lot to both the dark and light in life. So anyway, without further ado, this is essentially how I would define happiness if I could in a passage of something I've wrote to be even more epic. And I quote, "I can't stop thinking this is what it feels like to be happy, or wipe the perpetual shit-eating grin off my face. The benefits of having seen so much darkness makes the light so much brighter. It's in these moments, these unrepentant galactic bursts of delight, that I realize the true power of tragedy. Only when you have seen the dark, cavernous black hole of heinous evil can you be completely knocked off your rocker by a meteor of joy."
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Are you? You said you're planning on sharing this online somewhere.
Well, I think it's going to be in my inevitable book. I hate to be that person even talking about that right now, but that's the inevitable goal. But I think it's a part of a formulation of thoughts under that theme. And I really hope to gather a bunch of other people's stories around that. So if you're listening and you feel strength based on some really crazy stuff you've gone through, I would love to hear your story. I think it's awesome. So happiness is also perspective. And the less expectation you have, I think the more perspective you have and the more in the moment you can be.
Well, we were
insightful.
Tiff and I were talking about this the other night, though. We were talking about how a lot of people don't realize that you got to have the ups and the downs, and they're always going to be there on a weekly and like monthly basis, and it's all relative. Just because you can't have one emotion without equally having the other emotion, it's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your version of down could be somebody that would be somebody's massively up because of like this amazing lifestyle you have, but nonetheless, you're always going to have that a little bit of that going on.
Yeah. Oh, of course. And I think it's on the micro and the macro, right? And I think also one of the weird things I bump into, and I'm sure you do too, especially after a trip or something, is and this, I'm not trying to be emo or narcissistic this way. I have a wonderful life. That's a reality. But on the flip side, when you have a wonderful life, you're never not allowed to have a wonderful day. And so that becomes this perception that like it's all gumdrops and daisies. And so there's, and not that I need a stage for any of my darker thoughts, aside from apparently the book I'm writing and talking about here tonight. But it's interesting because it becomes that, you know, even like you said that, like, oh, you have this amazing life, I bet you don't feel bad. No, I feel like shit sometimes too. Like, trust me, we all do. And I think I'm the first to be open about that, and the fact that I totally hermit after I go on a big speaking tour, because I just output a lot and I feel naked and vulnerable and like I have 4 lives, and it's weird. So.
Life of a public speaker, huh? Is that,
yeah.
Have you heard, is that kind of common that people, once they go do some speaking or maybe some performers that are up, I mean, it's such an adrenaline rush maybe, or like you said, so much energy that you kind of feel drained afterwards?
I think there's a few different types of public speakers. I think there's the true extroverts that actually feed off the crowd and thrive on that and come off energized. Then there's the introverts who are very well trained and essentially need to recluse immediately after they speak, which is totally natural. And then there's sort of the hybrids, which I consider myself, which are introverts turned extroverts through reinforcement. So through either circumstance or occupational hazard or just general crowd response, we become the extroverts of the world who are very comfortable talking about the stuff that people aren't comfortable talking about. And so I really thrive on it in the moment. I mean, talking to an audience to me is kind of like talking to one. It's one entity, it's one blob or 2 blobs, so to speak, kind of like talking to you guys. You know, how many people do you really make eye contact with in the audience? Like maybe 10 max. But then it's the follow-up that gets really intense for me and super overwhelming. And I love it, but when you have 25 people in a queue and they all have something super personal to share and you want to be equally awesome for everybody and you do your best, and then at the end of that, I'm like, wow, I need to not speak for 48 hours out loud. Like, I don't have any ability to articulate anymore because I've said all the clever things I can say for the week. And I think that's the thing that happens that I don't think people realize is there is a max quota on that. And those to me are like the public speakers that are really amazing. Like the circuit is crazy. And to be awesome 5 or 6 days a week is really hard. And I can only do it about once a quarter at that frequency. And I don't know how they do it. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. It's cool though. I mean, you would both be lovely. You should speak together.
I'm entertaining idea. Yeah. I want to go to New Zealand so bad. My dad's from Sweden, so he goes like every year. I've only been twice, but yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, maybe we should do Scandinavia and New Zealand. Talk about the things
right.
best out there. Best, believe it or not. Some of them.
Let's do them all. We need a good 2 or 3 weeks.
Seriously.
Yeah. You do Australia too. That's been
I enjoy Australia. It's just very expensive.
It's just, and it's kind of like California.
Yeah, well, there's cigarettes out there like $14 a pack. I only bought 2 packs of cigarettes while I was there.
They're just as expensive in New Zealand.
I was like,
It was awesome. She was like carefully like saving each little bit of
like smoke half of it.
I'm gonna use this for later. But
that helped me to cut down on my smoking. Not that I smoke so much, but
no, it is. It's funny what scarcity will do in a situation like that. No, you just splice it with a few other things, smoke a little slower. It's easier. It's a good life out there. Yeah.
Well, let's see here. All right, so we got another great question for you here, and this is going to be a good one. So, given that you travel a lot, you're an international speaker now, and you are Miss Forbes under 30, tell us, what is the most profound thing you've learned or that's happened to you so far in life? Like, what would you say, something that really maybe changed your life or gave you a different perspective?
think a lot of things have changed my life. I think with everyone, many things hopefully have changed their life in one way or another. I think one of the things, so I cite a lot of stuff that's affected me, and all through like series of chance, also, graduating while living out of my car and hustling a job as a waitress and starting my first company. And there's a lot of little things I think that really pinballed my career in the beginning. And they were really that intersection of luck and opportunity, preparation and opportunity, like actually defining luck, like just being silly. Like some of it was just ridiculous. But I think one of the things, and I'll give you something that actually really impacted my life today, surprisingly, but is awesome. So there's a group of kids in Christchurch, New Zealand, that showed up to the first talk I ever gave down in New Zealand, sort of my first cameo as an international public speaker. And while I didn't really need to be, I was actually nervous. There was something about it being international that made it a much bigger deal for me. And I wanted to be culturally sensitive, and I'm pretty flagrant on stage as I am as a person, both in my stories and my language, and I just didn't want to be that American asshole. And I was immediately calmed because there were these 6 or 7 young boys. It sounds really perverse that I'm saying it out loud, like high school age kids in the front row. And there's all these adults and professionals in their suits and whatnot. And I'm looking at these like 6 kids in the front row and their teacher. I'm thinking, who are these people? This is awesome. So immediately the first break, go up, introduce myself, start talking to them. And it turns out they all go to an alternative, innovative high school where they're being taught how to code and animate and do graphic design and build websites, and do all the sweet stuff long before they go to college, which is super rad. So I took a big interest in them and have sort of mentored them along the way. And they come see me speak whenever they can. And it was pretty cute because the last time I was down, they were supposed to come see me in Auckland, but couldn't fundraise because school bureaucracies suck. And so we decided to do a Skype call, but instead of a Skype call, I flew down to where they were on the South Island and surprised them. So they went to call me and I walked into their classroom. And it was really awesome because they just about passed out. They were so excited. And they decided they want to come over to the States for a visit to go see Microsoft and see San Francisco. And I asked them to do this one-pager. I said, okay, well, if you want me to help you get sponsorship from Air New Zealand, who I work with, you gotta give me a one-pager on how you create value. And these kids are 10 to 15. Like, I don't even know that I would have known what that meant at that age. I don't know about you guys. And I get this. So their teacher sends me their one-pager today, and it has all of us, their class, their teachers, and a bunch of Air New Zealand flight attendants photoshopped on top of an Air New Zealand plane that has a unicorn horn strapped onto it with the hashtag Be the Unicorn, which is the logo I quote unquote bequeathed upon them for the sake of this adventure. And I told them, everyone talks about unicorn companies. Fuck that. There's only like 100 unicorns that can ever exist. Just be the unicorn. That way you don't ever have to grow to be it. And so they turned the plane into a unicorn. They turned all the flight attendants into unicorns. We're unicorns. And then they wrote this whole story about how me saying that to them inspired them to believe they could come to San Francisco. And I didn't know that part. And it was one of those things where, you think you're doing something because it feels good. And selfishly, I'm going to hang out with them because I like them. But and obviously I want to give them everything I can, but it was one of those moments where I realized the impact that I'm having and realized that they're learning and they're doing something awesome and they have a ton of value to add. And I can't believe they're just teenagers. They're going to be so well suited to just crush it as adults. And, I don't know. It changed me today in the sense that it affirmed a lot of what I'm doing. And like most people think, okay, US to New Zealand isn't scalable, but it is if you make it. Like, that's up to somebody else. So, yeah, anyway.
That's profound.
Good day. It was really good feels. If any of you are listening, I know one of you was in here earlier. I'm really proud of you guys, and I want to make sure you get airline tickets. Don't worry.
That's so cool. So wait, I kind of missed some of that. So like say it again. These guys came up with Basically, they rebranded.
Is there like a place? I wish I could share this visual. Oh, crap. I'll tweet. I will. Oh yeah, I can tweet it because they don't know about it yet. I will tweet a sneak peek of what they made without revealing too much after this. So follow me on Twitter, and I will give you all a sneak peek.
What's your Twitter so I can type it in?
I am at Savannah'sSavvy, SavvySavvy. It's pretty awesome. Let's just say it involves airplanes, unicorns, ice cream cones. It's basically everything you ever wanted as a child or an adult.
Come true.
Cones, unicorns. They nailed it. They nailed it no matter what.
I think it's also, I think you never know how much impact you're having when you give back time. So, I mean, I know we all are good about mentoring, and I think I know narratives of both of you doing nice things for other people. And I think it's so cool when you have a 15-second moment and you're like, oh, it works. Like, it's not even just that it's, you know, them saying thanks, which is also really rad, but to see it in the wild and be like, oh my God, I'm not just full of it when I tell them to do things. It's actually like really good.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It is cool.
Those moments that make it worth it.
Oh, totally. It makes like $300 flights for 24 hours mean nothing. You know, it's like, okay.
And especially with children too. I mean, they are our future, and you know, they're so fragile minded, and what goes in early is, if you can inspire something like that in a child, like that's amazing. Like, good on you. That's so great, Savannah.
Yeah. Good on all of us. Like, I think there's a lot of people who don't realize how much of an effect they have on kids, even if you don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
All those little nuggets.
Your vocab is out of control. It's amazing.
I think I have a Kiwi American hybrid
I've heard
going on right now. So. Plus, Slavisms are also pretty hectic.
We've heard it all. I wish we had a running tab. I might have to rewatch this and put together a Sav vocab list, but picked up some true nuggets and vocabulary tonight. So
I'm excited and terrified at the notion of that. But let's give it a shot.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Well, awesome, Sav. We have covered, it seems like, a lot. We've been talking about rainbows, unicorns, traveling, different experiences you've had, kind of how you describe happiness, the ups and downs of that, your idea of success. And we know you're out there in San Fran for a moment in between all of your traveling and otherwise the different public speaking you're doing. So we really appreciate you sitting down with us today as we're on our mission here to interview inspiring people that are doing amazing things. And
and thank you for being you. You are awesome. You rock.
Yeah, thank you both so much. It's a pleasure to be with two lovely people, especially getting to meet someone I've heard so many good things about. I'm very happy, Tiffany, your mouse, Dino. And I'm
on blast.
But it's really nice to share the stage with both of you, and I hope we can continue to do it.
Me too. Let's set a date for a trip. It's much needed.
I will hang out for a second after the recording.
Okay. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Dino, is there anything you'd like to add?
That is it.
Oh, wait. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Savannah? Is it Twitter? I mean, how can people learn more about you?
Absolutely. Twitter at Savannah'sSavvy is the easiest way. It's my same name as it is here on Blab. I'm the same purple avatar. You can also find me at SavannahPeterson.com. Some form of Savannah Peterson and or Savannah'sSavvy on all of the internets, whether that be Instagram, Tumblr, or about me, LinkedIn. I'm out there. If you can't find me, you're not using the internet right. And I will respond to you about all of the silliness or profoundness, if you like.
Awesome.
I typed that in. I just spelled your name wrong the first time. I'm sorry. There, I got it right.
I'm super not offended.
No, I forgot to put the AH. No, that's Savannah.
I like Georgia Peterson, like Adrian Peterson, though I try not to given his track record.
I was gonna say, drop an Adrian Peterson reference. Wow.
Viking. Well, okay, I'm a Vikings fan.
That's serious.
There was a time when it was amazing to wear your last name on your jersey on a Sunday. Anyway.
It isn't still?
Well, so he decided to, and I'm still a Vikings fan, but you can't wear the child beater's name on the back of your shirt, especially as a woman. Like, just doesn't.
Yeah.
My vanity jersey, and it's a shame, but it's okay.
Did you at least wear it around once before you heard the breaking news of that story and had people like looking at you or something like that? Did that ever happen by chance? That would be a great story.
I was living in New York when that happened, sidebar. And first of all, I think somebody would have actually beat the shit out of me if they had seen it at the wrong time. And thankfully the news, I believe, distinctly remember it came out on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. So I did not even make the mistake of throwing it casually on for a Friday night or Thursday night game without knowing what had happened. Yeah. Oh, it was vicious.
Well, awesome, Sav. Thanks so much for joining us today. I think we're gonna close down the live blab for now. But then let's stick around. Let's chat for a little bit longer.
Okay, so thanks everybody for tuning in. Savannah, thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you to begin with, and to have you give us your time. Thank you.
Yes, you guys rock.